And Cairo, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time of day it is, I pray that your mind, your heart, and your soul are all poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. You know, there's a really great saying that tells us that the best way to fail is to try to please everyone. You cannot be all things to all people at all times and be successful at the same time. Now, you can spread yourself thin and do a little bit of everything poorly, but when you want to be distinguished, when you want to be recognized, when you really want to stand out and offer something and create the kinds of outcomes that nobody else can create, then you have to really specialize and focus, right? And this is the real important value of a single bold promise. Your ability to make a single bold promise about who you are, about where you stand, about what you do, about the effects and the outcomes that you can create on a consistent basis, rain or shine. That is your gateway to superpower. That's your gateway to authority. That's your gateway to real respect and admiration and preference from your desired audience. And your desired audience can be one person, or it could be a million people. That's up for you to decide. But the key lesson that I want to drive home for you today is that your success will always derive from a single promise. Now, I'm talking about success at the level of excellence. I'm not talking about mediocrity. I'm not talking about just getting over. I'm not talking about the world famous fake it till you make it. I mean, when you are the master, when you are able to walk into any room, anywhere in the world and stand firm on who you are and what you bring to the table and why it's essential to someone in the world, some group of people or some individual, then you will understand what true empowerment is. And this is totally in keeping with the teachings of Ifa. Okay. Now, for us, this single promise that I'm referring to is tied up in your prenatal choice, what we call Akun Leyan. Akun Leyan. Akun Leyan is your prenatal choice. This is what you're already knelt and chose. These are your natural gifts and talents. These are the ways that you will show up in the world. These are the things that you are uniquely qualified to contribute to a specific cause or a specific group of people. All of that is baked into your spiritual DNA in the form of your Akun Leyan, that single promise. So here is the question. If everyone has this single promise, it's that single promise that brought each and every one of us to the world. The only way you could be here is if you made that promise. If you made that conscientious decision to come in the world. That's the only way you're here. So I know you have it. I know you're aware of it on a certain level. The question becomes, why is it that so many of the people I work with, why do so many people struggle with being able to articulate that single promise? Why is it that when I ask people, who are you and why are you here and what are you coming to offer and what do we stand to gain from your contribution, people start to get really vague and they want to be everything to everybody. They don't want to limit themselves to a single cause or to a single person or to a single group of people. And I believe the reason why is because also something that we learned from Ifa, that we choose our destiny in heaven, but it's when we get into the world, it's what we meet in the world, more precisely is what the Ifa says. It's what we meet in the world that makes us anxious. So the idea here is that your prenatal choice, your Akun Leyan, gives you certainty. It gives you clarity. It gives you the ultimate strategic advantage because you have chosen a unique position for yourself, and it has been granted by Obatala, sanctioned by Olodumare, and that's the only reason why you're here. But it's Adayeba, what you meet in the world, that gives you anxiety. What is Adayeba? What you meet in the world are the limiting factors of your reality. Well, you happen to be born into a poor family, or you happen to have been born into a war-torn society, or you happen to have been born in a time where there was intense racism or some other form of discrimination that makes it more difficult or more challenging for you to be fully expressed as a musician, or as a chemist, or as a physicist, or as a father, as a leader, right? As a person who is profoundly committed to justice and freedom and truth. You may have been born into a set of circumstances where those attributes and that promise actually is working in direct opposition to the order of the day, and so people are going to challenge you constantly, right? So that's what gives people anxiety, and it causes us to then start to try to compensate and try to rationalize and try to survive and lessen the blow, try to be inconspicuous, try to not get into so much trouble, not try to blend in a little bit more, right? So often that your natural gifts and talents make you stand out, they make you bold, they make you irresistible, they make you highly visible even when you may not want to be highly visible. And so to try to compensate for that, you develop other kinds of habits that in the end, if you're not careful, they can dilute your ability to commit to that single promise that you made in the prenatal state. Okay? But what I want to do now is I really want to emphasize how important and how clear your single promise is. Okay? The more clear you are about who you are and what you intend to bring into the world, the easier it will be for you to stop distracting yourself with tangents, to stop chasing every shiny object and really zero in on the pathways and the relationships and the resources that will help you acquire what you need in order to be effective. The more clear you are about your single promise, the easier it will be for you to then craft a strategy and start creating plans that will step by step help you to move forward, to progress, to have strategic relationships, make alliances with different people and different groups of people so that you can continue to move forward. Sometimes you compromise and hey, I'm going to compromise for a specified length of time, or I'm going to compromise until I acquire a certain kind of status, right? My objective here is to become a tenured university. So I'm going to, write and speak and teach in a certain way until I become tenured, and then I will be able to do other things. Or I'm going to come out strong in the beginning. My strategy is to make it really clear. I'm going to be loud and proud from the very beginning so that these folks will know exactly who I am. And if they don't want me here, I know someone else will want me because I have that kind of a platform. Whatever your strategy is, it's up to you to execute it. But the strategy is only going to be workable consistently over time to the extent that you are very clear about who you are and what you bring and why it's important to somebody. The last part is a very important element of your promise. You see, understanding, for example, in my case, Hey, I understand that my promise is education. I promise to teach. I promise to enlighten. Okay? And I know that the value of education is transformation. I know that you can learn anything as a human being. And so if I can teach you how to learn, then I know I have put tools in your hands that will serve you not only for the rest of your life, but for the life of everyone who you come in contact with. If you have children, if you have a spouse, if you have siblings, if you have parents, if you yourself are a teacher, if you adopt the methodology and the technique that I offer you, I know that the ripple effect is almost infinite. I know that I can say it with absolute certainty. I've seen it play out over and over and over and over and over again in all kinds of environments. I've seen how what I teach affects people 2, 3, 4 waves away from me. People who don't even know me are being blessed by the lessons that I taught to people who were close to me. Okay, so since I know that, I can take a certain position, I can take a certain stance, I can make certain kinds of claims, and I can carry out all of the steps that will help those claims materialize, because I am certain that within a month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, you and the people around you are going to bear witness to the value of the lessons that I teach. And that is the key. And it is that cycle and that process that I have seen play out for myself is just a model for how the single bold promise functions in everyone's life. Okay, you may have chosen something different from what I chose. You probably did choose something different from what I chose. But the pattern of expansion is similar, if not identical. You make your decision in the prenatal state. You have this promise. You deliver on that promise with focus and with certainty and consistency here in the world. And the effects of that promise will become evident. The people who you serve are going to feel it. They're going to experience it. They're going to recognize you for it. And they're going to seek you out for what you do for them. And then the people around them are going to wonder, hey, where'd you get that haircut? How'd you find those shoes? Who sewed that garment for you? Where'd you learn that dance? How did you learn to say that? Oh, and they're going to start referring back to you. And that is how you get the reaffirmation that you need, that your particular promise adds value to people's lives in a specific kind of way. And you get to build a certain kind of confidence. You get to relax a little bit, and you are able to focus more exclusively on what you do. Okay? And so if you find yourself trying to be a jack of all trades, a master of none, if you find yourself trying to serve everybody in every capacity, if you find yourself trying to be all things to all people in all spaces in all times, then I'm going to tell you in no uncertain terms, you are flirting with disaster. You are flirting with, at the very best, mediocrity. You're never going to be the best if you are not willing to commit to a single promise. And here's the real kicker. I know this is going to be difficult for a lot of people to understand, but I have to say it in order for you to really get the lesson. I know you want Ifa to tell you who you are. I know you want Ifa to tell you how to show up. I know you want Ifa to tell you when to do certain things and when not to do certain things. And quite honestly, if you're willing to practice almost total adherence, total obedience, you're going to follow the word of Ifa to the letter from A to Z, it can work for you. But, if for any reason you think that you're going to come to a point where you're going to say, but I got an idea, and you're going to want to start exercising your own free will and coming up with your own plans and your own schemes, if you think that's a possibility for you, let me tell you, it's better for you to begin with a very clear pathway inward before you come to Ifa. Ifa can help you. Ifa will guide you. Ifa will give you some indications of who you are and where you need to show up and all those things. It's true. But even the word of Ifa and the sacrifices that you make through Ifa, they're gonna be limited by your ability to follow through and be consistent. And this is something, and follow through and be consistent with your prenatal choice. Okay, we have a concept of prenatal choice being associated with the head. Ori is the head. It's represented by the head. But oftentimes we'll come to a point wherein even Ifa will tell you, your head has the vision. Your head is moving you in the right direction. It's your feet that are moving you in another direction. Your feet are contradicting your head. That speaks to an inner conflict. It speaks to a split wherein you're thinking one thing, but you're doing something else. And you may have experienced this as well. It also can be a byproduct of, you know what you come into the world with, but then you meet the circumstances and you don't know, exactly how to handle it. Whereby your head, your heart, and your hands are doing totally different things. You think one way, you feel another way, and you're doing something different. Okay? If that is the case, then sure, there are rituals and ceremonies that we can do to create more alignment, but you're going to be all the better served if you start doing that internal work yourself. If you understand that Ifa will tell you, hey, your head, your heart, and your hands have to be in alignment, why don't you begin with that? Why don't you make that your primary point of departure? How much more enlightening and empowering will your spiritual work be if you show up at the mat with your head and your heart and your hands all in alignment? Okay? This is why I start these podcasts with the hope and the prayer that you are ready to receive, to accept, and respond to words of wisdom. Because as you prepare yourself inwardly to create that level of alignment, Ifa only has to give you half of the proverb. Ifa only has to give you half of the message because you already understand what your basic premise is. You already know the direction you're going in. You already have some kind of a strategy in motion and in play. Okay? And so in the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, everything that I do takes this inside out approach. All of the publications, all the courses, all of the lessons are intended to help you to turn this bright light, that you're facing outward, and you're facing the east, you're facing the west, you're facing the north, you're facing the south, and you're shining your light in every direction that you possibly can. What I want you to do is stop, pause that, that habit of just being helter-skelter and running all over the place, shining your light. Slow down and turn that light inward so that you can see yourself and you can rediscover yourself. Who are you? What are your natural gifts and talents? Okay? Who do you serve? How do you acquire the skills and the equipment and the resources and the training that will help you to serve on a higher level, on a deeper level, with more precision, with more exactness, with more efficacy? How do you make that discovery? How do you put together those programs within yourself? That's everything that we're doing in the Orisha Lifestyle Academy. Everything is intended to help you cultivate that light and direct it inward so that you can discover yourself and show up more focused, more relaxed, more at ease, and with more precision so that you can make the kind of contribution that you chose in the prenatal state. And to that effect, this is why I'm always telling you, I'm looking for leaders. I'm looking for people who want to use their natural gifts and talents to improve the world through positive change. If you're one of those people, I invite you to visit orishalifestyle.com or obafemio.com. Start getting yourself acquainted with the material. Start reading the blog. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Start studying the content. Get enrolled wherever you can. If the School of Orisha Studies is full, then you can at the very least get your orientation under your belt by taking the Intro to Yoruba Spirituality, signing up for the email distribution, and when there are new openings in the school, hey, you'll be the first to find out. But whatever it is that you need to do, understand that this is the place where we're going to help you to do it from the inside out. We're going to help you to discover who you are and not try to impose upon you some idea that if you align yourself with external factors, if you can, accumulate enough of the trappings, then you will have internalized the energy that's necessary to transform your life and transform the lives of those who you're destined to serve. We know and understand that only happens from the inside out. It's only through self-discovery that you can truly enjoy mastery, and it's only through mastery that you can consistently deliver on that single bold promise that you made in the prenatal state. And so I look forward to seeing you in the Orisha Lifestyle Academy so that we can live the medicine that will help you heal your life and heal the lives of those who you're destined to serve. Aboro aboye, abo shishe.